Join me in the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning again, everyone. Let's see, first on our agenda is the agenda approval. Is there any changes or modifications?
Mr. Chair, there's the addition of item 1A, the ICS contract for the old jail study. And then the amendment to the item for the county surveyor oath of office. That's for a 4-year term, so it's runs through February 5, 2030.
All righty, thank you. And with that, can I get an approval?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Steve.
I'll second.
Thank you, Tom. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Public input. Looks like we have a few folks here. Is there anybody here for public input? It appears not, so we'll close public comment period there. Onto the consent agenda. There again, any changes?
No.
All righty.
I have a couple questions about some of the auditors' warrants and claims.
Okay.
Natural Resources has a couple of expenses that I was curious about. If you remember, we had an easement request across public lands for a person up in, I believe it was Hendrickson Township, or it was either Hendrickson or Lakeport. But I see there's a charge for the recording of that. Well, I think that person should be the one paying that recording fee, not the county. It's $46, but still, it's more based on principle than anything. And then,
So I got a question. So was that paid and then it was also billed to the
I don't
person?
know. And then Corey's not here to answer that this morning. Then there was a forfeited land fund, a payment to Pro Weston Association of $4,250. I was just wondering if that was for LiDAR and the GIS aspect of it. I'm not sure.
GIS didn't pay anything, or
Okay.
Pro West for that, so.
Okay, it was the land department that paid it, so that's why I was just curious.
They do have a contract with them for another application they run, so that might be what it is, but I.
Oh, okay, all right, thank you. And then, landfill closure. I see the solid waste paid the highway department $640 and some odd cents. Is that for snow plowing or?
I'd have to look, I know we did some pipe work, but that was last fall.
Okay,
I'd have to double check this.
okay, yeah. That's what I'm assuming it was for snow removal to do some sort of work with the closure aspect of it.
Surveying or- Yeah, it could be.
I think it was snow plowing was the title, so
Yep,
I just wanted to make sure that it came from your department. Okay, all right.
Jeff, to go back, do you have more
No,
questions?
no, I'm good.
Okay, so Jeff, go back up about 3 pages. So the tab fees for all the leases, is that all we pay? And then they actually cover the rest, or was it like $20 or $25 if you go up?
Yeah, I think they're $22.50 a piece.
Yeah. There was multiple, so do we not pay to have the license tabs put on? Because in Minnesota, there's no way you buy a license tab for $20.
We're exempt, so that is the fee for them.
Well, that actually is the fee.
Yep.
Okay. What a deal.
I can't run my cars through the county, though.
No.
Those were the only things that I had. I just had questions about those, and
Alrighty.
I'm okay with approving them if we can just
Follow up
get
on that.
clarification on those things is all, and then if we have to, we can get repaid and
Okay.
just do it that way,
Sounds good.
reimbursement wise.
Thank you.
Corey said that when they do the easement, they pay the fee, and then Land Services, or NRM, pays the recording fee, so they already collected it,
Okay,
and
all
then they
right,
pay
from
it.
that person, okay.
And and Pro West is for the timber program that they use, so.
Oh, okay,
that's-
all right,
that was
the
intended.
management program.
Yep.
Okay, I understand now.
Thank you.
You clarified. All right, very good.
Thanks. A motion?
I'll move to approve.
Thank you, Shar.
I'll second.
Thank you, Steve. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All righty. On to county employee recognition. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning. For county employee recognition today, in Human Services, we have Anna Schilling, family-based service provider, began the full-time position on January 12th. And in the Sheriff's Department, Michelle Daly, 911 telecommunicator, is recognized for service from December 9th, 1996 to January 23rd of 2026.
Thank you. And I guess we're on to county survey oath of office.
So Ryan asked if you wanted to give the report before you decided to reappoint him for 4 years.
We'll take a chance and we'll reappoint him.
But if you want a motion to reappoint after we made the appointment, then we'll do the oath.
Well, I guess looking at the agenda here, we do have the county survey oath of office first, so I'm willing to do that first.
Okay, we really need to make the appointment and then the oath.
Okay,
So the recommendation is to approve the reappointment of Ryan Miller with the term February 6, 2026 to February 5, 2030.
Also move, Mr. Chair.
I'll second.
thank you, Sharon. Thank you, Steve. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Now we can do the oath. I, Ryan Miller, do solemnly swear
I, Ryan Miller, do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
and the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of County Surveyor
and I will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of county surveyor
within and for said county and state,
within the county and state,
according to the best of my judgment and ability,
according to the best of my judgment and ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Stacy's here for the notary.
Stacy, do you allow, can the public use you as a notary and then pay you?
No, they don't,
Okay.
but they can, yep.
They can use you or pay you.
Yeah.
Now you can give your report.
Yep, so that's that one, that one.
That is, thank you.
Your report's very colorful.
Yeah. Getting pretty filled up. Just to start, I think we had a pretty successful year. I think we got a lot done. I'll just run through kind of the numbers first and with some explanation. Then we can look at the maps. For total monumentation, we have 3,664 total corners. We are now up to 3,391 certified or set as of December of this year. And we did 50 new corners this year, which was up from, I think we had about 30 last year, so as far as setting new corners, we got more done. And we had 41 resets, which most often includes road construction projects where the monuments are gonna be destroyed. So we go in first and remove those, and then once the projects are done, then we go back in and reset those so the surveyors can use them. We set two new property corners. That was for an NRM project where they had kind of some questions on where the lines were, so we went and set monuments so they had something in the ground to go off of. And GPS coordinates, we have, pretty much everything has, high accuracy, Hubbard County coordinates on the monuments. We've only got 6 that don't have coordinates, and I guess those 6 are more, I have computed coordinates for them, but for those instances, the monuments are not in the ground currently, so I don't count those as, final coordinates, I guess. So we're up in that, 92.5% for fully remonumentation, which compared to the rest of Minnesota is pretty high, especially when you look at, outside of the metro area. We're significantly higher than almost all the counties. And as far as jobs for this past year, we did 17 surveys that required either survey work or subdivision of sections and establishment of property corners and boundary lines. Most often that's doing work with the NRM department when they are doing timber sales. If there's ever a question as far as where the boundary line is, or if there's potentially buildings or encroachments on those properties, we often either compute the corners and they go out and look at it themselves, or if something's close, then we'll go out and actually stake out the line and make sure that, everybody's off county property. We looked at 25 survey-related issues for other departments, whether that be the GIS department, the, other land records, environmental services, or highway issues potentially. We wrote 6 easements and legal descriptions for county properties, that, whether that be for the sales or we had a couple that had kind of some issues on bad legals, so we kind of rewrote those to better describe what the property was. Our goals this next year is just kind of keep plugging along, looking for that 100% remonumentation. Obviously, it's a little bit slower now these past few years as it was when I first started, just because we're kind of running out of corners to set. So we're down to, that 350 corners left. And, those ones are pretty rough areas. So it takes multiple trips to go visit them and research them. So they just essentially take more time, but we're just continuing to try to get those all done. We're looking at a couple townships that are getting close to being fully remonumented, so I'd like to, kind of finish those ones out. Whether it be Heart Lake or Lake Hattie, both of those are just having a few corners left, and the issue with those is those corners are kind of ones that maybe have conflicting information, or we're just looking at a couple different options on what the best position is for those corners, so it takes a little more in-depth analysis. And as always, we're continuing to update the website with Jack, whether it be our corner maps or the survey map that you can pull up all the certificates of survey for. So constantly, updating that information with when we record corners and get surveys in from land or other private surveyors. I guess one other thing I just wanted to note was, when we go out and research these corners, sometimes we know what we're looking for. Sometimes we have an idea of whether there was previous surveying done, but it's always interesting on what we find out there sometimes. Like, there was a corner that we went to this year, and we've been to it multiple times before. And sometimes it's really hard to look for evidence when you don't know what's there. But we happened to find an old monument that we found in the records had been found in 1901. And no other records of that since then, and we went out and found it this year, and that was a really cool one. It was a really old, large cast iron monument that, you know, had been in the ground for over 125 years, so it's just really fun and interesting on what you find out there sometimes, so.
So
that-
Ryan, did you have to dig down? Was it buried?
It was buried a little bit, not as far as I would have expected for as much leaf cover and stuff when, you know, when the leaves come down and pine needles and stuff. I thought it would be, further buried than it was, but yeah, it was a fun day.
Must be a good feeling to find something like that.
Yeah, it is. It's, you know, we put a lot of effort in getting to these corners and doing a lot of research, and whenever you find something that's, you know, that like official, like, you know, that's the corner, because you have these old records that tell you that, and yeah, it's a good feeling. It kind of makes that hard work worth it, so.
I have a question. You said that cleaning up bad legals. Which one takes precedence if you think it's a bad legal and you rewrite the legal, why would your rewriting of the legal be better than
Well,
what's in existence on paper?
I guess the thing about that is, you know, sometimes, there's not really essentially anybody can write a legal description. You don't have to be a surveyor. And sometimes, you know, through my, you know, schooling and experience, you find certain ways that kind of removes the ambiguity on certain parcels or property lines. So what my goal is to make it unambiguous, so when someone retraces it in the future, they're not wondering, well, what does that wording mean? And in some cases on older stuff, whether they'll say like then they run northerly, 250 chains. Okay, well, northerly, what does that mean? Due north? Does that mean north 2 degrees east? You know, what exactly? And so when I rewrite it and I put, you know, an exact bearing on there, plus I call out monuments that are in the ground. So then the surveyor in the future doesn't have to wonder what line they're running. They'll go, okay, he called out this monument, that's what the boundary corner is, that's what we're going to. And so you just try to remove the ambiguity, I guess, is.
Okay,
is
so
the
it's
best.
cleaning it up with more
Yeah.
modern terminology for
Yep.
everything that's affected.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
I guess we can look at the maps quick. The one with the sparsely populated dots is what we've done this year. And so Jack helped create these maps, and so the kind of the green dots are the reset corners where you can see down along 87, down by Hubbard, and as you go east, you know, on County Road 13 and some more on 87. So those are some road projects that we did, that we removed the monuments and then reset them. The pink dots are new corners that we set. So you can see we kind of were concentrated in a couple, 2-3 areas. We did clean up that east line of Bedora Township that runs along Cass County. So I did work with Cass County on that project, and we went out and researched those in the swamp and then went and set monuments. So that's definitely a rough area to be in. So it was nice to get that line finished up. And then up on the south side of, you know, Lake Alice Township, we went in and set a lot of new monuments there and established that township line between Clover and Lake Alice. So that was one that we've been kind of working on for a couple of years that was nice to finish up. And then when you look at the full county map, this is without the new corners in there. So it's actually even more complete than what this map shows. This is, you know, up to this summer. So what we did this summer is not on this map yet, but so you can see there's getting to be a lot of monuments out there, and there's, you know, just a few sparsely areas left. So, I said, I think we're doing a good job of just kind of filling in gaps, and, you know, hopefully at some point in the near future we'll be kind of finished up, and then it just goes back to maintenance. we visited, I guess I didn't mention that one. I think we visited 68 previously certified corners to make sure the ties were still there, make sure the monument was still in good shape. And so that's kind of what we do once we get these corners set, is we have to go back kind of the goal is 10 to 15 years, go back and make sure they're still there and in good condition, so that, the public can continue to use them. So that's, once we do get completely finished, it's kind of a never-ending project, because, monuments continually get destroyed, or ties get destroyed, and so you want to make sure that they continue to stay available for the surveyors and public to use for boundary determination. We'll run into an issue, and obviously nobody's going to admit that they moved a corner, but there have been a few instances where it's pretty obvious that it had been moved. With having GPS coordinates, that obviously makes it easier for us to make that determination. When a monument is 25 feet away, typically somebody's not gonna set a monument that far off with the technology that we have these days. But yeah, not often, but occasionally. There was one, I think, 2 years ago that the monument was just missing, and it was pretty obvious that a landowner had completely removed it and had kind of been using something else for the boundary, so. Any other questions?
I have one. This happened in Becker County a few years ago, and it was done in a private survey. Just wondering if you heard anything like this in Hubbard County. So there was a tract of land on a lake that was resurveyed because of GPS coordinates.
Mm-hmm.
And the last lot actually became unbuildable. It was taken to court, and the judge held up the new boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
Have you come across anything, have you heard about anything like that happening in Hubbard?
No, not in Hubbard. I mean, I have heard of instances like that, but, yeah, it kind of just goes back to what the records are and the legals are, that are in existence. And, the goal of a land surveyor is to, retrace the footsteps of the previous or the original surveyor. So I guess if, without knowing any information, the only thing I could think is, there potentially was an error made on the original survey there. Because I would, as far as my case, I'm just retracing what has potentially already been done.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess without knowing details, I don't know what else would have happened there, so.
I appreciate you clarifying to us how you, with the questions that Steve asked, because I don't really understand what you do,
Yep,
and so that was helpful.
yep, no problem.
I have one question. You look at the boundaries of Hubbard County and the townships, you see it offsetting a little bit.
Uh-huh.
What causes that?
So, those two areas where it's shifted over like that, those are called standard parallels. And those are essentially, they shift over every 24 miles to compensate for the curvature of the earth.
Okay.
They did that on the original survey back in, the 1860s, 70s. So they put that in to compensate so that they were always running true north, according to their compass anyway. So yeah, that compensates for, as you get further north, the curvature of the earth.
It gets
so.
smaller and smaller.
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
Great. Any other questions? Well, Ryan, thank you.
Yep, thank you, guys.
Yes, we'll continue with highway.
Morning. Let's see. I have two items this morning. The first one is the 2026 approval to bid all of our construction and maintenance contracts for the year. This year, we're looking at 4 maintenance contracts, including our pavement marking, aggregate resurfacing, application of the liquid calcium chloride, and then the pavement messages. And then we have one federal project, the SP4 4 SAP, which is state aid projects, and 3 county projects that will be hopefully bid this year. So I'd like approval to get those bid, and then we'll get the ball rolling, and hopefully construction can kick off right away in the spring once road restrictions get removed. And there's a map attached, color coded to what the funding is applied to those. The purple is the state aid projects, green is county, and then the blue is using local funds, which is the Straight River Township has a bridge that, if funded, it will get constructed this year.
I was kind of comparing this to what we had set years prior in our 5-year road plan, and it's pretty consistent with following what's on that 5-year road plan.
Yeah, yep, a couple of them are a little ahead of schedule. The 38 bridge is being pushed, and then CASA 30 as well, because MnDOT's going to be coming through and reconstructing 200 through LaPorte and a little further south, and they want to use our county roads for detours. So they're pushing a little harder than I'd
Yeah.
like, but it'll work out in the plan, in the 5-year plan.
Yeah.
And a couple county roads, 116 got added. We have some issues with manholes lifting on that road, and the plows are hitting them, and we're gonna do a mill and overlay and then readjust those manholes to hopefully alleviate that and save some of our cutting edges on our plows.
Okay, with this plan for this year, are we still on track for next year for what you can estimate anyway?
Yeah, there's a couple unknowns. Yes, essentially, there's some unknowns. The cost of the bridge on 38, in terms of what we get split with the funding on that, will kind of determine what we have left over for state aid for next year.
Okay.
And then obviously, oil prices, we don't know right now what they are. Hopefully good, that they stay consistent of last year. We were looking at about $58 a ton for bituminous mix. When I first started in engineering in county, it was about 92 is what we were paying. So it can fluctuate, unknown. It's an extreme unknown. And it's all based on oil prices.
I just have more of a procedural question, I guess. When MnDOT is going to do a project and they want to request to use our county roads, do they assist us with, say, the 38 bridge? They would like to see that upgraded so that it can handle all the traffic that would be detoured across it. Are they giving us anything extra in an incentive to get this accomplished?
Not financially.
Or is it just bonding?
It's all bonding. I think they had a little leeway in their pushing to get this project, because they ran out of funds last early December in bridge bonding, but I think they had a little say in terms of saving some of those funds for the bridges specifically that they need. This one's load rated, is why it's a huge push, is that they can't use it as a detour because it is load rated. So it does need to get removed just a little quicker than what we thought, which it'll all work out in the end. It'll be a good project. Looking at that one specifically, we're looking at a timber structure to match the pedestrian or the bike bridge that's right next to it, kind of have better aesthetics in that area for the bridge.
Okay. Thank you.
So, motion?
I just have one more question. So who pays for that bridge?
So the way bridge bonding is set up every year, every 2 years, the legislators
Yep.
dictate how much money is set aside for bridges. And then they usually split 50-50. So 50% is on the county and 50% is on the bridge bonding you can apply for. Bridge bonding only covers expenses for the actual bridge structure, which is peer-to-peer, so the abutments aren't considered part of the bridge or the road approaches. Yeah, and they kind of have a little bit of leeway in terms of where that funding is applied, but, so we usually end up paying about 50% of a bridge replacement through our state aid dollars.
So then the township isn't,
The township is a different set, it's special bridge bonding. They usually get about 100%, they have to pay $20,000 total. It's $10,000 of engineering and $10,000 of construction costs that the townships are on the hook for. And then the rest gets put to that special bridge bonding, which is a different account from the state bridge bonding.
So my question is, so the Straight River Township Bridge replacement, the township will only be liable for 20,000. I'm questioning because townships, most projects don't get moved ahead, so they budget accordingly.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
20,000 unless it goes over like engineering costs. Cause they can only put, I believe it's 20% of the total bridge costs can be applied to engineering costs. So if it goes over that 20%, then the township is then on the hook for that additional 20, whatever's over 20% plus the 10,000 that they had already paid.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a big manual of all these funding resources and how they're split and what they mean. But this one's been on the book since I started. It's been in design, but again, it's a waiting game, waiting for money. And no township or county that I know of wants to fully fund a bridge without the bonding money.
Alrighty.
I'll make a motion to approve advertising for the bids for the 2026 construction and maintenance projects.
I'll second.
Thank you, Tom. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Perfect. And the next item I have is to review a quote for a new lift in our Park Rapids shop. The piece of equipment that lifts our plow trucks or tractors up so the guys can work underneath. The one we have currently, it was around 2,000 that it was purchased. It is showing significant rusting and signs of aging. It's also not wide enough for our equipment with the underbodies on our plows. They have to use the skid steer to lift the plow, drive in at an angle, and then push the wing underneath the plow and set it back down onto the chain hoist. So the one we're looking at is wider. It can accommodate the equipment. It's has enough lift, that 50,000 pounds, to hold all of our equipment, and it'll not be rusty, so the guys will be happy with that. A little more safe, I think, for our operations and better suited for today's size of equipment. And this one, with the budget, it was to come out of the county capital budget for building.
Mr. Chair, I'll move to approve the low quote.
Thank you, Shar. I'll second. I know that when those lifts or hoists, when they fail, you don't have time to get out of there.
Yeah,
So this is definitely a safety thing.
yeah, very much so, and not having to use other equipment to do what we should be able to do without it, so it'll be very helpful.
All right. There's no further discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
All right,
Thank you.
that's all I have, thank you.
Thanks for fixing the lights on 34.
Yes, it was a bad switch that they found in the box, so they came out and it wasn't tampering this time, he said.
Alrighty, IT.
Good morning.
Morning.
You're not on the agenda very often.
No, it hasn't been.
That was my thought, exactly.
New terminology to learn.
Yeah, I tried to write, yeah, we're looking at doing since I've been here, it's been, kind of been hodgepodge together, kind of the networking system, so there's multiple hops, like to get over to the government center here. Takes quite a bit of network resources to get over here and stuff, so we're looking at doing a core refresh, basically creating redundancy, so over at the LEC network too, we have, one of our, main layer 3 switches will have redundant layer 3 switches and stuff, which basically keeps it so one of those goes down, the other one takes over. We already basically worked with our firewall, so we'll have full redundancy through each switch, whether it's first floor, third floor over here, or over in the LEC, the departments over there, they'll have redundant switching over there also, so help us when we do maintenance. We also have, there's a couple unmanaged switches, which we had a kind of an outage last year it was. We couldn't get into it and stuff, so we had to pull it down and replace the whole switch which basically is on the law enforcement side. So just it was kind of quite an inconvenience and stuff. So we're looking at replacing those with the Fortinet switching. And on the two quotes that we got here, one, Fortinet kind of just works with one vendor, and they give a special price on that one vendor. Any other vendors that quote it, if they don't give them the discount on it to your vendor. So we went with Byte Speed on their Ruckus switching.
which as you can see, it came out quite a bit higher. So, and we wanted to kind of stay with the Fortinet. It'll be, our whole network will be kind of based off the Fortinet switching, which will give us better visibility of it and stuff, and management. So, yeah, we're looking to get that approved to be able to go forward with that.
Thank you. Any questions?
And this was all included in your budget for the year?
Yep, yep. And then, of course, the installation of it, we'll be working with Network Center on the installation. So they quoted us at $250 an hour, and just quoted 100 hours. Hopefully, we don't have to use all that. Not looking like we shouldn't have to, but it's there in case we need it. They basically give us if they did everything from start to finish, which we definitely won't need them, for everything, so. But.
All right. Board wishes?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Steve.
I'll second.
Thank you, Shar. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
All right, thank you, guys. That was a quick one.
Sheriff's Department.
Sir, you can't afford to be down.
All right, the only item I have is, in an effort to enhance our drug enforcement efforts in the county, I'm looking to add, to assign an existing, patrol deputy to the Paul Bunyan Drug Task Force. And, we currently have, an officer, on the task force, but so often the different missions or, things that occur, as you can imagine, require, more than one person. So we're pulling an investigator off the road or patrol deputies. So this would help that individual, immensely. And I'm not looking to add additional staff. I'm simply looking to assign a patrol deputy with an investigator title and assign them to the drug task force. There is a little bit of cost to that simply because investigators do make more than deputies. It's a little over $7,000 a year, but for 2026, our budget, we're down a deputy now, so those savings would, more than equal out what the additional cost to an investigator would be. So this is actually, a win-win situation. Additional savings actually with this position would simply be while they're on the federal drug task force, which this person would be, we get a vehicle, the federal government provides a vehicle, so that's a squad that this person would not need, so that's, a definite, cost savings as well. And this will help our efforts, drastically, so.
I have a question. You said you're down a deputy. I was looking at the chart that we got 2 weeks ago, and the only places you got a vacancy is in the non-regular 2 part-time positions?
Yep, the vacancy took place after that. The deputy just left and went to the state patrol.
Okay, so that's one you're not going to replace then?
Well, we are gonna replace with a patrol deputy, but then one of our patrol deputies we will assign to the drug task force. So it's not ended up being additional staff, it's just our normal numbers. But yeah, we do have to, replace the deputy that just left. And then from our pool of deputies, we will assign one of those as a drug task force individual.
So how long of a time frame do you think it would be to replace that deputy that left?
Well,
A month, 2 months, or?
I would say we could do it in a month. We have to run a posting for, 7 to 10 days, whatever we decide. And then, if we hire an existing officer from another department, they would typically give a 2-week notice, and then they could start right after that. A brand new officer someplace, if we hired them as a patrol officer, they could start right away.
Immediately, yeah.
Yeah.
I was just thinking time frame wise, how much of a holdback savings, I guess I'd call it, that we won't be expending for the staff person.
Well, you could look at least
Yeah.
a month,
Sure.
quite possibly 2, which would make up those savings, in the additional cost. But even if there wasn't savings, you know, the expense of, say, $7,000 for an additional, you know, what that person can do to our drug enforcement efforts truly would be a small price to pay.
Yeah.
But in this case, like I say, it'll be a wash.
So you'll have 3 investigators then?
Yeah, well, we'll have 2 general investigators and 2 drug task force. I have 2 general investigators now. Yes.
Board wishes?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Steve.
I'll second.
Thank you, Shar. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Very good, thank you.
Administrator.
Pretty quick, we talked about this last week, and the first thing is a motion to set the date for the County Board of Appeal and Equalization for June 17, 2026 at 6:00 PM.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Thank you, Steve.
As long as there's no issues with conflicts or anything like that, but we talked about it once before, so.
Yeah. Just want to make sure I wrote it down.
Oh.
Yep. Got a good memory, it's just short. All
Put
righty.
it on the calendar.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
I'll create a meeting invite the 5 of you to that, so that will create a calendar instance for you.
Thank you.
And the second item, I got the proposal yesterday. And we had originally, a year ago, contracted with BKV to do the space study at the old jail. And they were not able to come up with the resources to do it, so I canceled that contract and asked ICS to give us a proposal. You have that in front of you. Just a reminder that the scope of this is to determine what the best future use is for that. So are we gonna do a remodel in place? Are we gonna do a major mechanical system overhaul? Are we considering, like we talked about 4 years ago, the next project we would do would be to eliminate that and replace it with something more functional in between. So the proposal is for a fee not to exceed $13,000 to give us those options to conduct the study with the departments that are affected, and to provide the scope and the scale of those 3 levels of options. Doing this work really just gives us the opportunity for the board to identify what a priority is and how far out that might be, right? If this is a major project, it is out there, I'm guessing, at least halfway through the current debt that we just issued. So it would be 8 to 10 years out before we would consider refinancing and looking at doing a new one, another project like that. But at least we will have, we had told DOC that we were gonna do a study, and that just kept getting kicked down the road. Their time frame is from the approval of this contract, they'll have it done within 4 months.
Okay.
So, not to exceed $13,000 and to be completed within 4 months of approval.
Is that 13,000 comparable to what we were being charged by BK?
I think BKV's was just over 10.
Okay.
So yes, very comparable. Their proposal also includes contracting with Wold, which is another architecture firm that works a lot in jail and courtroom design. That price is included in the $13,000 not to exceed.
Okay.
Yeah, I would like to see us utilize that space as best as possible, but I also don't wanna tear it down and start all over either. I think we need to be financially cautious about what we're gonna do with that space to make it as usable as possible. And I think this study will help that. But I would also like to make sure that we see some options in this study, not just, this is what we see it should be, and that's the only option we have. So I want all things considered in the study so that we can make the best financial decision possible.
The scope of this study is to identify all three of those levels of work. And to address we still have the issue of not having a real secure way to transport prisoners from the jail to the court space. And then we're looking at the space issues that, even though we're doing the attorney's office now, we're doing the attorney's office for the exact number of staff that we have. If that attorney's office ever grows, we're out of space. So, but the intent is to provide three options for the board to consider and prioritize.
Thank you. Board wishes.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Tom.
I'll second.
Thank you, Steve. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Alrighty.
Mr. Chair, that is all that I
What do you got?
have,
Okay.
unless anyone has questions for me.
And then we'll move on to committee reports. Anybody like to start?
Well, I can. I left home with my computer sitting at the door.
So you wouldn't forget it, right?
So I wouldn't forget it, so here I am on my phone. So mine's gonna be really short, I'm just gonna report on Prime West. And so for the second through the fourth quarters of 2025, DHS adjusted the rates to better reflect what the actual cost is of people receiving services. So what that did to Prime West as of November, the projected loss for 2025 was $7,181,616. And by getting additional funds for their services, it resulted as of November, a positive net gain of $1,259,459. And so, needless to say, we were very encouraged and pleased. And it looks like the rates for 2026 will be acceptable for the costs. The only other thing I'm gonna say, because my notes are at home, is that they're looking into services and the reason of why we are giving more services. We spent a lot of time talking about fraud, and even Prime West has seen in certain areas in the last 2 years, services have just skyrocketed. And so reimbursements are coming from the state or the feds, and so Prime West can look into it, but that extra level really has to come from,
The state of the feds?
yeah. So, anyway, that was positive news, that's all I have.
All right, thank you.
All right, and I had just a couple. We had a meeting about using the opioid funds and making a plan as far as what the county is gonna spend the money on. And we really didn't identify anything in particular. There were some suggestions made. And there's going to be another meeting on the 30th, which I am gonna be gone, so if someone would be available to attend that in my stead, I would appreciate it. Angela Graham is the one facilitating, so I can email her and then she can transmit the meeting data to whoever would take my place. Or maybe I don't need to be there if someone from Human Services or if Jeff was gonna attend again. I have a feeling it's gonna be via Zoom. So,
I'm pretty sure that Mike is going to be there. If I attend, I'll be attending by my phone because I'm traveling that afternoon. But I'm sure that Mike is gonna be there.
okay.
But if you wanted to have somebody attend,
I have a meeting from the hubby that day, so I'm out of town.
Okay. And if someone can attend, that's just the way it is. I don't feel that all of my input would be necessary. I could maybe attend by phone, but I don't know what I'm gonna get for service where I'm gonna be, so, yeah, okay. Then the other one, last Thursday, we had a community vision meeting at Northwoods Bank. Mary facilitated it. It was kind of a recap of all of the entities that were involved before, you know, Action Park Rapids, and then I don't remember what it was called after that. So there's kind of a background of what the vision is, for the community, but I stress the fact that we need to include all of Hubbard County in this community vision, because there's certain areas that feel kind of left out. Everybody says everything happens in Park Rapids, and, you know, we don't ever get any assistance. We don't see anything, so, we've made steps in that direction, but I kind of definitely stress that. And they're gonna have another meeting in a couple weeks, so I will do my best to be available to attend that. So we didn't pick a name for the organization yet, and we really hadn't developed a vision statement, as of yet, but that's going to be accomplished at the next meeting. So, there was some questions about trying to include other members, throughout the county to be part of this process so that we're a little more inclusive. I'm gonna try to work on the area that I represent up there, try to get someone from that area to be part of this group so that they feel they have a little more buy-in on this and have some input. So I'm hoping to find somebody who's motivated and really wants to help implement some change, or at least describe ideas that they have for the future for the, I guess, so to say, more rural areas of the county. And that's all I had.
You know what, one more thing, Steve reminded me when you were talking, so, the Coffee Talks event happened last Tuesday, and it was put on by, Mindy Broden, she's from Sanford Health, and she talked about, dopamine by design, and, how our brains work, and the one thing that was really telling is she had go across the screen how much dopamine we get from certain things. So we even get dopamine from yawning, I think it's like 40. But she had several different things, sleeping, and then activities. Meth was 1,000. You get 1,000 for the first time you smoke meth, and so she talked about why that was so addicting. But she talked about healthy ways we can get it, just exercising, communication with people. It was really interesting. She did a really good job.
Thank you.
I had a couple. One was the local watershed committee. We met and approved a tentative proposal going forward. Couple of items, potential projects would include the Beltane water level management. In fact, that was the top one on the list there, and that was one that the Crow Wing watershed plan wouldn't cover, so perhaps we can get funding through the local watershed plan to help with that. Straight River groundwater monitoring, and then another one was recreation and access improvements, and then there was others on the list too, but that's kind of the gist of that meeting. I had the Kitchigami Regional Library Board meeting last week. Had election of officers, and nobody expressed interest in being chair, so I got elected again for, this will be my 4th year. I told them, be sure to have somebody in mind for next year. And then they approved the budgets. One thing that we did approve doing is the Bemidji Library had last year received a $300,000 gift, and there were no stipulations of exactly how that can be used, other than be used at the Bemidji Library. So we're going to send it on to the Bemidji Local Library Board plus the city of Bemidji. The idea of taking the 185,000 shortfall from the county, take it out of that 300,000 and use it to make up for that shortfall from the county. So if they approve it, then that library will be fully funded for next year. And then they just have to deal with the year after that, because I was for it, like, it was a unanimous vote, but at the same time, I didn't like rewarding Beltrami County for cutting $185,000 out of that budget.
So where did this, was it a gift or something?
It was a gift from a family. Yep. And there was no stipulations other than used for the Bemidji Library.
Okay. It was generous.
Oh, yeah, it's a pretty sizable gift. But there's others like that. There's other categories that are held by the regional board. You know, like one gift was from the Bill Gates Fund, and that one's specifically for technology. So they've been gradually reducing that by buying things. But there's a number of them like that.
Tom, every year I go to the township annual meeting, there's questions about the library. Could you work up just a little sheet about what the budget is? You know, what it's set for this 2026? And then I know, one of the questions is how the surplus was used. Is there any extra left? So if you could just answer those questions. Does anyone else have questions like that at the township meetings, or is it just?
Yeah, actually, I just met with the chair of the local library board, which I'm also on that board too.
Yeah, and I would think it would be the local library, it wouldn't be the regional, yeah.
Yeah, they have, and the reason why she wanted to meet with me is that she was preparing a letter for the townships.
Okay,
And I thought it'd be a good idea to include in that letter showing where that money goes to. So whenever the townships donate money to their local library, it goes to buying materials for programs. It doesn't cover any of the, cost of operating the library, like paying utilities, paying salaries and things like that.
okay.
So,
Yeah, that'd be really helpful, and in fact, I asked you about this. There was somebody in Hubbard County who brought forth how the library was being used for an event. And I found out through you that when someone requests to use a library, they're not looking at the event. They just grant that to the person, and then the person brings in the event. So even for the people at the township meetings to understand that's not the library supporting whatever the event was.
I can think of one locally where it said meeting at the Kitchigami Library in Park Rapids, and it, made it look like it.
Yep, that it
The
was
library
supported.
was
So that
supporting.
would be important also for people to realize.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. I had two meetings, both with the Headwaters Regional Development Commission, Executive Board. Our first meeting, we were looking at changing our banks. HRDC has about anywhere from, and depending on times, $5 to $7 million that they're working with. We reached out to the banks in the area. We narrowed it down to 2 by the numbers, and we interviewed both of those banks. They'd sent some of their executives and stuff like that to explain stuff to us, give us their sales pitch. We narrowed it down to, the executive board then made a recommendation, but that won't be voted on until the February HRDC meeting. Our second meeting was about a week later. The HRDC is in contract with the city of Bemidji to do a comprehensive plan, and the Township Association of Beltrami County was concerned about whether the neighboring township should be included in that discussion. They brought up some state statutes and all that kind of thing. And so we talked about that, and I think we've I don't know how I want to put this, alleviated their fears because I know that annexation is a kind of a touchy thing up there. And they were concerned that that might be the prelude to it. But reading everything and what would be required if they were going to annex, how it would have to then include these other townships and stuff. So I think we got that all worked out to the township's satisfaction, but time will tell. And that's all I had. Last thing that I'm thinking about, meetings to note, who would be at the department heads meeting next Tuesday? Is David still going to be gone?
No, he'll be back.
Okay,
I'm not gonna be here.
okay,
Whose turn is it? Did anybody have any
I
idea?
did December.
okay.
I gotta look back and see when I last did it.
And I think I did you in November for you,
Yeah,
because
and
you're
then I
gonna be
did
gone.
December, yeah.
And you did December for Ted?
No,
It
I
must-
did December.
Yeah, because of Ted, it must be my turn then. Okay.
Okay, I have a free day next week.
Is there a Northwest Juvenile meeting?
Let's
The
see.
29th.
29th, yep,
Yeah, I won't be there for that.
okay,
I already told Aaron that.
okay, thank you.
There's gonna be an open house in the boardroom, for the Minnesota DOC, next week. I think it's from 2:30 to 3:30. Is anybody free that day? I'm actually gonna be meeting with them at 2:00. But I'm just noticing, I'm giving you notice. Did anybody else get that email?
I don't recall.
A celebration and a meeting on January 29th from 2 to 3:30 at the board room.
Tabitha sent that, didn't she?
Well, Mark sent it to me, but
Oh, okay.
did you guys get that? Otherwise, I can forward it to Jeff and he can send it out.
I won't be here, so you
Okay.
can send it to me. but-
And are you guys free or not bother?
I'm available, maybe send it to me and let me look at it, because I don't recall it.
Okay,
And I may have it, I'm surprised that if I don't, but when was it sent, you know?
yeah, let's see here.
Must have considered junk mail and didn't look at it.
January 2nd.
I don't-
Okay, so Jeff, do you want me to forward it to you? You were.
Yep.
Okay, so I'll forward it to Jeff and he'll send it out. Okay. And then Jeff, did you have a chance to set up a work session for Prime West yet, or is that still in the works?
I have not,
Okay,
I have not. I've got your email. I will follow up with
okay,
Jim.
thank you.
And if there's nothing else, we get a motion to adjourn.
All moved.
Thank you, Steve.
I'll second.
Thank you, Shar. All those in favor say aye. Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Tom, in speaking with one of the commissioners